Hey guys, you're listening to Wingin It with Holly. In this podcast series, I'll be sharing the fun and interesting things I've learned about birds since I started really noticing them 5 years ago. I'm no expert though, so along the way I'll be picking the brains of my knowledgeable birdie friends, the human ones that is, so we can learn and wing it together. You can see birds anywhere, in the city or the countryside, watching from a balcony or your local park. And I'm hoping these short episodes will help you notice and learn more about our feathered friends, especially if you've never taken the time to get to know them before. There are lots of naughty names in nature, and it seems the birdie world is no exception. We're talking great tits, common shags, woodcocks, you name it. So for this episode, I gathered some peeps to discuss this very important subject. Okay, are we ready? Tits, shags, boobies, and there's more. Guys, we need to talk. The birdie world is not as innocent as you might think. As I've come to discover, it is inundated with birdie names and birdie terms, which are very naughty indeed. So to discuss this very important subject, I have gathered some very important people who are experts in this field. Today I have with me my sister, who is representing the non-birdie peeps, and we're going to call her Words of a Naughty Nature Consultant. Chloe, hi.
Hi, nice to be back. Thank you.
To my left, I have my cousin Katie. Hello, Katie.
Hi.
And Jack. Hi, Jack.
Hi, good to be back.
You guys are my birdie experts, and yeah, all of you have been on previous episodes before, so thank you so much for joining me again. Okay, let's get into this. Let's discuss tits. Okay, gotta love the tits. So, Chloe, I'm going to come to you first, and let's try and keep this as PG as possible. To us non-birdie people, what are tits?
Tits. Well, tits are the mammary glands you'd find on the front of a woman. They provide a food source for our babies, and they also might be referred to as fun bags.
Cool. Excellent. Now, Katie and Jack, tits. So, yeah, tits are a small type of bird. You might know, so some common ones are great tits and blue tits. What other tits are out there?
Crested
tit. Yeah, there's a long-tailed tit, penduline tit.
Good one, that.
Bearded
nice
tit,
although it's not
Bearded
actually a tit.
Yeah.
It's actually a reedling,
tit.
isn't it?
Yeah, so there are, frequent garden birds, some of them, not all of those. But yeah, so the most common would be in your garden, great tit, blue tit.
Oh, coal tit.
Coal tit.
Coal tit.
Yeah.
Willow tit.
Willow tit.
Marsh tit.
Marsh tit. Wait.
So yeah, they just roll off the tongue. Probably close between blue tit and grey tit. Yeah, I would say.
Marsh tits and willow tits look pretty much exactly the same, don't they? Like, there's who gave them the? I don't know. They're the same.
Some silly person decided that one had a millimetre less black on the chin and a different song, but also different habitat needs and likes. So, it basically, whenever you get sent in a picture and it's like, this is a marsh tit, or is this a willow tit? There's no way of knowing.
Yeah, it's like, please, some context.
Yeah, I want to know habitat, want to know song, So,
excellent.
Yeah, can be tricky.
Where was it in the canopy?
Yeah, exactly.
Or was it, well, not in the canopy, but what level was it? Was it on the floor? Was it up high? Was it in the middle? All determine whether it's a marsh tit or a willow tit.
Thank you. Tits, everybody.
Can you have like a great breasted as well as a great crested type of bird? Because I've just come up with an idea. Like the best kind of tit would be the great breasted tit.
You've got a fair point, Chloe. Moving on swiftly before this gets out of hand. Okay, moving on to boobies. So did you know that there are birds out there called boobies? I expect the answer to this question, Chloe, is going to be very similar to the one you just said. As our expert on naughty words. What are boobies?
Well, it's another word for a tit, basically. Breasts, honkers, boobies, boobs, fun bags.
Okay, let's stop there. Guys, what are boobies? Where do you find boobies in the nature birdie world, please?
Okay, boobies. They so the word booby actually comes from the Spanish bobo, which basically means stupid. This is because way back when these birds would actually land on ships, and they would be so approachable to people, they would actually easily kind of kill them, and so they branded these birds as stupid because they were actually quite willing to sit there and be taken by humans. So that's why they're called the booby. But however, boobies aren't really found here in the UK. We have a kind of relative similar genus, which is the gannet, that a lot of people may have seen here in the UK.
Which I have another fun name fact about. So yeah, the gannet is similar to the other, like, kind of, the boobies across the world, but
Form and figure. Why is it similar? Is it just size and shape?
It's very closely related. So yeah, so like kind of in its sort of habitat, it's like kind of what it like kind of feeds on, and like and all those sort of things that make up its ecology. So it is very closely related to that. But the genus for in simple terms, the genus is just like one of the Latin names that kind of we give to species just to help to identify them. And the genus for gannet is Morus, which comes from moros, which is ancient Greek for foolish, which basically is the same origins as boobies. So it's just they're calling them stupid.
Boobies.
As in, what? There's a theme here. So apparently, boobies and they mean like they mean kind of silly or stupid or idiot, or what does that mean? Why is that? Because boobies are so fabulous.
Booby.
Well, exactly.
Are boobies, as in pointing at my chest area, are they named after boobies, which are silly? Or is booby just also an evolution of the word bobo in its own right? Or are these silly?
No, they're not, Chloe.
I think when it comes down to it, it's nicer to think that they're named as silly based on the fact that they do a silly dance with their feet.
All right, types of boobies, guys. There's the blue-footed booby. That's the one I remember.
Yes, there's the blue-footed booby. Oh, by the way, so these birds are kind of found in subtropical islands, so the Galapagos, southern hemisphere kind of area. So unfortunately, not frequent. Although there have been a few on passage. So the brown booby, there have been some juveniles which have been sighted here in the UK. One actually here in Hove at the beginning of the year, which was insane. So it was actually rehabilitated by a rescue. But yes, you get blue-footed booby, you get brown booby, red-footed booby, masked booby, Nazca booby, and the Peruvian booby. So a large variety of boobies, which is what we like to hear.
Nazca boobies. Do they just really like driving and fast cars?
All I know, Jack, is that it's native to the Eastern Pacific.
So many boobies in all shapes and sizes, quite like our human women selves.
Exactly. Thanks for that, guys. Okay, moving on to shags. Chloe, keep it PG. What's a shag?
A shag is a term of endearment to explain when one wants to enter and partake in some fornication with one's partner, consensual, of course.
Thank
it's a
you.
good funny word as well, isn't it? Shag.
Guys, I didn't realise there aren't actually many types of shags, are there? In the birdie world, in the birdie sense, there's many of those kind of shags. So talk to me, shags. What are they? What do they look like? And is there just one type of shag?
Here in the UK, yes, European shag looks very similar to the cormorant, but there are good ways to tell them apart. So the cormorant tends to be seen, can be seen both coastal but also inland, and they tend to fly high, whereas shags are pretty much only, on the beaches, coastal. They fly
Nudist beaches?
They fly very low across the water, and the reason they got their name was because...
Oh yes, so that was my bit. So the shags, basically it comes from Old English, which basically shag just means crested, because they've got the little tufty, cresty, like sort of curl on the top of their heads. Yeah,
That's why they're called shag. But they do look slightly different. I mean, they do look like velociraptors sometimes. They're very kind of have very much a dinosaur Jurassic feel to them. But yeah, their like feathers are quite oily, like in terms of colour, very green, and yeah, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool shag.
And just to add to the really, really exciting stuff for any Latin lovers out there, that also its genus, so the genus for shags is Phalacrocorax, which basically means bald raven, because I think people in the past weren't very good at separating out things and thinking, that actually looks quite different. So they just thought, oh, look at that, that's a bald raven.
Right. Even though they're not bald, to give them some dignity.
They've got their little tufted hair.
Exactly. So yeah, power to the shag.
I think, is there not a common shag?
That's
Common. That's the European one.
shag.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's quite a good name, isn't it?
We call it
Common shag.
Actually, this is good to sort of like kind of touch on that, because so that's why we give them like things like the Latin names, because in different countries they'll call them different things. So here we call them the common shag, but in Europe they'll in continental Europe they'll call it something else, and if they're English speaking they might have a name that might be confusing kind of compared to ours, because they call it something different. So that's why we give birds and all other species Latin names.
Thank you guys. Okay, the next one, slightly trickier. Here we go. So it's not a name of a bird, it's a phrase, it's a term that's used in the ornithological world, and I first came across it when my lovely Uncle Ivan said it, and it really threw me. I didn't like it at all because I didn't know what it meant. Okay, right, jizz. It's time for the jizz. Chloe, keep it PG. How do you? How does the youth know? What does the jizz? What does jizz mean to us peeps?
Well, interesting. PG. Okay. Well, the birds and the bees. When people want babies, thank you. They one needs to ejaculate. Oh God, there's a child.
Oh no!
Into one's partner. Yes, and some call it spunk, some call it sperm, and some call it jizz.
Nice.
It's a material of life.
Thank you. A seed, if you like.
What 50% of the combination used to make life?
Lovely. Well done. You did that great. Guys, birdie guys, use jizz in a sentence for me in the birdie world.
Oi, Jack, what's the jizz on that bird? I mean, I'm with you, Holly, because I was quite traumatised to hear my own father say this phrase, and my own mother shout it across the car park to him. So yeah, it's basically basically, to break it down, it means general impression of size and shape. So when you're speaking about a bird and people are like, say a sparrowhawk, for example. A sparrowhawk, when you're watching one, it sounds weird, but it doesn't feel as heavy as like a buzzard, for example. Buzzards are bulkier, they're heavier. So when someone says, what's the jizz on that bird, they're generally meaning, what does it look like? What's it in relation to? So I would go, well, the jizz, going on the jizz, it's lighter than a buzzard, it's lighter than a goshawk. So you're narrowing it down, which would bring out, hopefully, sparrowhawk.
You're helping your partner in crime, whoever's birding with you, right? Because they can't. Someone has to be observing. Someone needs to be taking down information. It's a team effort.
At all times, you need to look out for the jizz.
Yeah.
Jizz is
So it includes like looking at the shape and the size as well. So you might be like, it's small, it's brown, it's got a blue head. I don't know what bird I'm describing right now, but yeah,
Exactly.
that's
So
like the
a white stork, for example, wouldn't have the same shape as a great tip, bringing it back full circle. So they'd be like, "Oh, what's the jizz on that bird, Ivan?" And he'd be like, "Well, it's broader than I don't know, a falcon or like a goose or something." It's basically a way of IDing and how a bird feels. It's tricky when they're flying around.
How would you describe the jizz on great tits?
Jack. Nice.
You thought I was going to be the problem in this.
Filthy.
Absolute filth.
But yeah, that one really took me by surprise. I'm hearing it in a completely different way now. Thank you. Okay, the next one is a little bit kind of more up for debate, really. LBJ. What? LBJ. What do you think of it, Chloe, when one says
Little BJ, you mean?
what's a little BJ?
Well, I mean, hopefully no one would ever receive a little BJ.
Oh no, Chloe, PG.
Okay, got kids, cover your ears. Blowjob. I said it, okay? BJ.
She did it. Okay.
It's another colloquial way of saying blowjob.
Yeah. Thank you.
Try a hair, mate. Or, yes, fellatio.
Okay, guys. So yeah, LBJ. How does one? Why would someone say
uncomfortable
in the bird?
Shouted it out loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jack, if me and you were out birding, I'd be like, "Oh, you seen that LBJ over there?" What would I be looking at?
I'd be like, what? A warbler? Wren?
Yeah, it's a little brown job. That's what it is. Or some people say little brown jobby.
Why isn't it like LBB, little brown bird? The job bit is that I don't like the job.
The birding world are absolute filthy.
Thank you. Okay, right, Chloe. This one's a little bit more for you. This section because these guys will already know the answers, but I'm going to do a true or false kind of thing. Okay.
Yes.
I want to know: are the following birds? Do they exist? Okay.
You're gonna trick me, aren't you?
Okay. Cock of the rock. Is that a bird or is that not a bird?
It's a bird.
Guys?
It is a bird.
Yes.
Big chicken.
I thought so. Do they lurk around rocks by any chance?
Fluffy back tit babbler.
That is not a bird. You made that up just to wind me up.
Guys,
It's a bird.
Say it again.
fluffy back tit babbler.
Fluffy back tit babbler.
Yes.
I mean, that is now definitely my favourite bird ever.
Google it. Dick sissel.
You're winding me up now. These are hilarious. Oh, damn it. I'm not going to fall for that one again. It's a bird.
Guys?
It sounds like a bird.
Sorry, can I hear it again?
Dick sissel.
Dicks.
With that intense stare, did you like that?
I'm going to say not a bird.
It's a bird.
It's a bird! Dick sissel!
Dicks.
Okay. This one's funny.
Made it up.
Yeah. Horned screamer.
Bird, yeah, it's a bird.
Bird.
Yeah, it sounds like some sort of hornbill.
Yeah, it's like a big hornbill.
Correct, it is a bird. All right. Snowcock.
Not a bird.
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 They were all birds, Chloe! They're all birds! Right, I've given you all some cards. So now we're moving on to just general naughty names in nature. I thought we could discuss. So pick up your cards there, Chloe.
Can we look at them?
Yeah, have a look. Let's discuss. So these are actual naughty names in nature. So I'm going to start with Sticky Willy. Sticky Willy is a plant. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's a long plant. Looks a little bit like got the top of an asparagus. Jack, what are you laughing at? Go for it.
Oh my god.
No, I think I need to build up to it.
Okay. Oh, well, give me one of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. Well, actually, one of the
sorry, we've
previous
already
weeks-
done that
yeah,
one. All
yeah.
right, let's go to Katie first.
Sausage tree. It's everyone's a wiener, baby.
Chloe.
I love this one so much. Stiff cock. That's it.
What is it?
It's a flower. I'm starting to get the hang of this. It looks a little bit like maybe a bluebell mixed with those purple ones with the little tube bell on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
But we see these around everywhere. I just didn't know they were called stiff cocks. And it looks to me like when it's not actually completely bloomed or blossomed, it does actually look like a cock. I think you should definitely put some pictures of these on your Instagram.
Jack, what have you got?
Well, I don't know, Chloe, if you've ever heard of this before, but it's a large cockchafer.
Oh, I've heard one of those. I've heard about one of those. What is it?
Where it's a type of insect. It's like sort of a like kind of. I think it's one of the beetle family, or at least it's closely related to a beetle.
I actually have. I worked on a project where we had to make a giant cockchafer. For that, I'm not actually. No. I worked at a prop studio. And we had a legit big bugs. It was called the Big Bugs installation that went around the UK, and it was about educating people, kids, and everybody about bugs. And we did do the cockchafer, and we made in giant form. The way we recreated its kind of skin was by using a shaggy carpet. Because when we looked at all these macro close-up pictures of these bugs, they're very furry. They're just very tiny.
People can't see this obviously because this is a podcast. I found out, but it does say on this little. Well, not say it. You can see it on this little image here.
It's the fluff.
Yeah, it's all fluffy. It's floofy.
It's the shaggy, floofy fluff that I mentioned.
I mean, I'm hoping people Google all of these so they can experience the visuals.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I've got another one. Knobweed.
You're such a knobweed.
It says a weed's got to have balls to survive around here. So, yeah, it's just that's what it looks like, guys. Sorry, Google knobweed. You'll enjoy it.
And just as a FYI for everyone, just be safe with your Google searches, okay?
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Put if you need to put bird after it. If you need to put beetle after it. because
definitely.
otherwise-
definitely gonna need brackets flower. Otherwise, your mummy and daddy will not be happy with you, or kids won't be happy with you.
Yeah, private browsing.
Katie.
Tufted titmouse.
Oh!
Don't like the quiff? Tough tits.
Way, love
Fantastic.
it. He looks like Johnny Bravo.
Chloe.
I like this one. I'm gonna find it hard to say. Shaggy soldier. Shaggy soldier.
What is it?
It's a plant again. I seem to have loads of plants.
Hey.
Like a kind of. It looks like a very long daisy. Very tall.
Shaggy soldier. Jack, what you got?
Well, saving the best till last for me. I have a colon rectum.
Whoa! No one wants to know.
I feel like everyone has a colon rectum.
What is it?
I don't want to.
This. It's a it's another. Yeah, I'm getting all the insects.
Purely by accident.
Yeah. It looks like again another little tiny spherical beetle.
Colon rectum.
Colon rectum.
Fantastic.
Google it, guys.
Katie, what have you got?
Wow, we actually get an influx of these every autumn and winter, and then they depart us in about February, March, and it's the woodcock. And I tell you, guys, they can end up anywhere: in your bathroom, in your garden, office building.
Isn't this the one that flew in?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It flies. It tends to like they sort of fly into windows.
No.
Or you heard about it happening?
No.
That's a woodcock.
Yeah, I got asked for advice from Holly's friend because yes, in places like London, it's very common that these birds, because they migrate at night, unfortunately do collide with large buildings and skyscrapers. A lot of them, not gonna lie, don't make it, but those woodcocks do persevere, and we have resident woodcock here as well, but.
They do this thing called roading, where they kind of they have these huge circles that they fly around in, and they make these weird squeaky sounds. Sometimes they sound a bit like a frog. Other times they're just sort of like a.
Apparently, it's also like a flying pig.
Yeah, no, I heard that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't quite say a flying pig, but I mean, people hear things in different ways. I think, and this is just I think for the other sort of birdy people out there, but I think it sounds a bit like the first note of a Chetty's warbler.
Yeah.
Right. Oh
no! I was just sorry. I'm full of facts. Another thing, going back to the woodcock. Did you know? So they in the olden times they used to think the woodcocks came from the moon.
Oh,
Cute.
Because of the way they'd come in and they'd be flying up kind of circling really high, and they fly around at night. People used to think that they came straight from the moon. They migrated across space to Earth, to the UK.
Yeah.
Amazing.
that is amazing.
Amazing birds. Space travel.
My last one, horny toad. It basically looks like a toad with lots of horns. It says, just one kiss, I swear I'll turn into a prince. Yeah, right, horny toad. Have you got any more?
I've got one more. I've got a slippery dick.
Oh, nice.
Slippery dick is a little fish. It looks a little bit like, I don't know, one of those minnows.
Or like a little neon.
Yeah, like a neon, yeah. A little slippery dick. It doesn't really have scale, but let me Google it because I'd like to know how big this slippery dick is.
Sorry, that's enough. Thanks, guys. Actually, so we've come to the end of our naughty names in nature, but
Whoa, it's huge!
Chloe!
35 centimetres.
I'll fix a ruler.
Yeah, it's about as big as a
Over
ruler.
a foot long.
I just kind of imagined it to be tiny.
So, I hope you guys have learnt a lot today. Quite frankly, I think the people naming all of these birds and animals were having a laugh. They were just having a laugh.
Having a laugh.
Come on.
And
And
gotta get their shits
Peckers,
and giggles.
hooters.
Hooters, yeah.
Hawks.
Hooters, hawks.
means it.
Cocks.
I mean,
To be honest,
Peckers.
Said peckers.
Oh, damn it.
You're just right, yeah. So, yeah, thank you guys, my experts for today, coming today for this
Very
very
welcome.
important discussion. I
Lovely
hope the
to know.
listeners have, learned something today about tits, shags, boobies, jizz, LBJs, and the lot. Just remember, guys, the birdie world is not as innocent as you think. That's it. Ta-ra from me.
Sayonara from me.
Bye.
adios.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you have any birdie questions you'd like me to explore in this podcast, you can get in touch via my Instagram @WingingItWithHolly.